All right, guys, today we have more PlayStation news and information to go over and talk about. We do have multiple topics we're covering within this video, starting with Naughty Dog confirming that they have multiple projects currently in the works and that they can't wait to reveal what these projects are, I would assume for the PlayStation 5. So I want you to leave a comment down below letting me know what exactly you think Naughty Dog is working on and what they're going to reveal next. I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. We're also talking about the fact that Sony is utterly dominating the BAFTA Game Awards, which I think is worth noting, not only because many of their games are getting nominated, but Sony set a new record with The Last of Us Part 2, and it just goes to show that Sony is getting the most important thing right consistently, that being the games. We're talking about a new patent that was filed that seems to hint at a PSVR 2 controller design. And finally, we're talking a little bit about Final Fantasy VII Remake for the PlayStation 5 and how the developers confirming that they're not utilizing the PlayStation 5 to the fullest extent and that that's going to happen once Part 2 arrives. So if you could do me a favor and hit the like button to help this video out and show your support, I would greatly appreciate that. But going over to Twitter for a moment, Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann teased out multiple projects that are currently in the works over there at Naughty Dog, saying that he can't wait to share these projects with us. And so he said, if you tweet at me asking about a future project, I can't say anything. Please stay patient. We have several cool things we can't wait to share with you. As soon as we can, we will. So it says here, recent rumors and job listings suggest that Naughty Dog is currently working on a yet-to-be-announced project, although details are absent at this point. We do know that the studio is still working on The Last of Us Part 2's multiplayer mode, Factions, and a PS5 update for the sequel is also said to be in the works. Back in September of last year, Neil Druckmann said that The Last of Us Part 2 Factions will be worth the wait. Now, I do want to point something out here really quickly. This article seems to make it seem as though this Factions multiplayer mode will in fact just be a single mode that is added on to The Last of Us Part 2, and I want to clarify a few things here. That's not what Naughty Dog is working on, at least that's not what they have claimed that they're working on. They have made it clear that whatever this multiplayer title is just that. It is a standalone multiplayer title that will be set in The Last of Us universe. Obviously, everybody's going to call it Factions because that's the only multiplayer component that we've seen so far with The Last of Us when it came out for the PlayStation 3 and PS4. But right now, we have to understand that this is not going to just be a simple update that we get for The Last of Us Part 2 that just adds a new mode, unless they change their plans, which is always possible. This is going to be a fully fleshed out title, and I have no doubt in my mind that this is in fact one of the things that Neil Druckmann is currently teasing. If I had to give my best guess, I would say that this is going to be a cross-gen standalone multiplayer title that will release on both PS5 and PS4, and I think that when they announce this, they will also reveal that if you buy it for PlayStation 5, you will get The Last of Us Part 2 remastered with it. Now, that could come in the form of a free upgrade. It may not. We do have to understand that Spider-Man Remastered is a thing that currently exists that Sony added on to Spider-Man Miles Morales, so they could take a similar approach there. But I have no doubt that these are two things that we will see from Naughty Dog. As for the other projects he could be teasing, I think it's obvious that Naughty Dog is working on a new IP. It just makes sense. They're not going to return to Uncharted. They're not going to return to Jak and Daxter, regardless of what people may think. I don't want to say anything definitively, but that just doesn't seem likely at all. Naughty Dog is going to attempt to push the bar even further in every aspect of game development, and I think that they're going to really try to leverage what the PS5 is capable of and do something just insane. So whatever this new IP could be, I have no idea. It's anybody's guess, but I will be interested to see what you guys think it may be down in the comments below. So hopefully him saying this is a little bit of a hint that we will be learning about one or more of these projects sooner rather than later. But moving on from that, we're talking about the BAFTA Game Awards briefly here, as Sony is absolutely dominating these awards. So this is coming from VGC. It says the BAFTA Game Awards has announced its nominations for 2021, with Naughty Dog's The Last of Us Part 2 up for a record 13 awards. The Last of Us beats the record set by Control and Death Stranding last year, when both titles were up for 11 awards. Overall, the 2021 Game Awards are dominated by PlayStation exclusives. Behind The Last of Us' 13 nominations is Ghost of Tsushima with 10 nominations, Spider-Man Miles Morales with 7 nominations, Dreams with 6 nominations, and Sackboy: A Big Adventure with 4 nominations. It's also worth noting that Demon's Souls and Astro's Playroom were each also nominated as well. And so, you know, this is just something that I want to take a moment here to point out that Sony is just absolutely just taking over when it comes to winning awards, and I think it's for good reason. You know, there's a lot of people who don't really pay attention to this and don't care, which I totally understand, but it's worth noting that these games are being nominated for a reason, okay? These games are not being nominated because everybody just wants to say, oh, look, it's a PlayStation game, so we have to give it an award. No, these games are earning these nominations, and I just think it's worth pointing this out. It goes to show that Sony continues to get the most important thing right on a very consistent basis, that being delivering great games. This is the most important thing that PlayStation has been doing throughout the PlayStation 4 generation, and they're going to continue to do throughout this generation, obviously. And it's always nice to see them get recognition for this. And I just wanted to take a moment to point this out. It's worth noting that they have 7 games in total here that are being nominated for a total of 42 nominations. That is absolutely insane. So we're going to move on from that and talk briefly about this PSVR 2 controller design that was apparently seen in a patent. It says Sony's announcement of the PSVR 2 last week came with news that it will feature a brand new controller alongside the device, and thanks to a new patent application, we may have an idea of what the controller looks like. In case you missed it, another patent filed by Sony recently hints towards the future of object tracking, and they decided to use a banana, which is pretty funny. So it says the format holder filed an application for a control apparatus and control program back in November 2020 and goes into high detail on what is possibly the new VR controller that will accompany its latest headset. You can see an image of it below, although keep in mind that this is not 100% confirmed that this is the design for PSVR 2. You'll notice that the light up globe featured in the PSVR/PlayStation Move controller has been given the boot and has now been replaced by a smaller LED panel that can light up in different colors. There's also a new trigger button that mirrors the DualSense controller's ability to offer resistance when pressed by the user. So I think that this is important to highlight for anybody who is interested in PSVR, because it's true. This is something that they did talk about when they announced the next generation version of PSVRs. They're going to have a new controller accompanying it. Obviously, they're not going to use PlayStation Move. They're going to use something much more advanced, much more sophisticated, and they did let us know that it will feature DualSense technology. And what we're looking at here looks exactly like what they described. So I would be surprised if this isn't something that turns out to be real, right? Something that does actually make its way into our hands eventually for those of us who are interested in the next gen version of VR. So there you go. This is maybe our first glimpse at what these next gen PSVR controllers will look like. But we're going to end this video by briefly talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake, specifically for the PS5. So it's set to release on June 10th. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is a PS5 port of last year's JRPG, and obviously this comes with improved visuals, faster load times, photo mode, haptic feedback, and the new episode featuring Yuffie, which a lot of people, as I said, are very excited about. But we have the director, Tetsuya Nomura, telling Famitsu that fans should not expect the series to take full advantage or make full use of PlayStation 5's feature set until the eventual release of Part 2. And he says in terms of graphics, lighting, and textures, these are the main adjustments in Intergrade, but environmental effects such as fog have also been added to further enhance the sense of realism and immersion in the world. And when he was asked if the game would support DualSense haptics and 3D audio, he replied, as for the adaptive triggers, they are partially supported. However, in terms of using all of the features of PlayStation 5, please wait for the next game where we can start from scratch. So I do think this is important to keep in mind because people are already very impressed with what they're seeing with Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS5. And granted, he is talking in the context of the controller and taking full advantage of the DualSense features, but I'm sure that he means more than that here. He's basically just saying that they are just scratching the surface, similar to what we heard from Insomniac Games with Spider-Man Miles Morales and even Ratchet and Clank. They're just getting started. And so once part 2 eventually comes out, we're going to see that game take full advantage of the PS5 in more ways than one. And so that doesn't mean I think we should feel deflated about what they're doing here with Intergrade, because as I said, what we're seeing already is very impressive. So it's only going to get better from there. I guess what we can ultimately take from this is that what we end up seeing with Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, it's going to be significantly more impressive than what we're currently seeing with the port of the PS4 version on the PS5. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you did find it informative. Be sure to leave your thoughts down below. Leave the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.